maybe you noticed that there is one conference which is mentioned here very often, beside of NC Spain for sure. It is ngGirls, and I met the next speaker at ngGirls, and we became friends. And once, are you ready? No, Michael. Okay, then I will just waste time. So, but spontaneous. I can do this. I heard a legend about him. A legend says that one night Jimi Hendrix came to him in his dreams and says, "Hey, can you teach me how to make this voodoo, how you did on stage with your guitar, and I will play Voodoo Child for you." I don't know if it is true. Maybe it's only a legend, but he's doing an awesome job on stage. If you have the chance to get his guitar skills he doing on stage, you should definitely join. Go on YouTube and check for him. His name is Vitalii Bobrov, and now you're ready for entering. One of the most awesome guy I know from Poland, he is here. Yeah, Vitalii Bobrov.
Hey. Okay, let's be connected.
And he is, unfortunately, he's not talking about this guitar stuff, but about a very, very important topic about I forgot the topic because I'm too nervous. But he will mention about the exactly what she said.
I have my...
Exactly about it. So it is very important. So have fun and enjoy the talk about this topic. Okay, I see everything. I see your slides. We will see media. And I'm done.
As you wish, as you wish. Okay, hello everyone, and I have nothing on my screen. Why? Okay, here we go. Now, too much connectors here. It was intended. Do you have just HDMI? It will work. Okay, now it's working. That's fine. So I want to speak about accessibility, why it's important, and my talk not only about accessibility itself, but UX, user experience, because accessibility and user experience living in the same room, and I will show why we should care and what we can do. So before we start, just a few words about me. I'm Vitalii. I'm working for a company called EPAM Systems in Poland, in nice city Wroclaw, and I organize in Angular Wroclaw meetups here. And I want to tell how I get into accessibility, how I get interested about it. And you can follow me on Twitter, read my blog, and things like that. So the company I'm working for, the project I'm working for requires a special accessibility reviews. And so we pass in the special review by dedicated team, and every project that haven't passed this review actually lives fine. Oh, until it just got cancelled. It lives fine, everything okay, but the product strategy is like this. Okay, and actually, I want to describe accessibility on astronauts. And everyone of us is an astronaut. So why? We have different kinds of disabilities. It is possible to have no hand at all, for example. Another possibility to break your hand after skiing in the mountains, for example. You can just get a baby on your hands, and you have only one hand to be able to work with application or service. And you can be in some strange environment like zero gravity, so you can't normally use anything. Another examples. There is people who can't see anything. They're blind. Some people just don't recognize some colors. Sometimes you can wear sunglasses on the sun and you also get in some kind of color blindness. Or you can use an astronaut helmet in the space and also will be hard for you to see something and interact with. So accessibility is not about making interfaces for people with disabilities. It's about to make pretty the same user experience for all of your users. And unfortunately, such kind of inequality exists in real world. The friend of mine, Dave, he was there just a few minutes ago, and I have a sticker with him on my laptop, just random fact. And he told me this story. So once he went into the bathroom, and after you wash your hands, you use some hand dryer, yeah? But there were a person of color who showed him that he can't use it because the sensors wasn't tested with people of color. So if you put your hands like this, it won't work for you. You need to reverse your hands. And only in this way it will be working. So even in such simple things around us, we have some inequality and making people not using interfaces. So as a web developers, we can try to make web better, making it more accessible and inclusive for everyone. First topic I want to touch is visual stuff, colors and contrasts. So this is a tweet with some captcha, and it says, Dira, I'm a robot because I can't solve this captcha. How many of you can read all of these colors, all these numbers? Okay, that's fine. Let's try this way. I just added a red blind filter on top of this image. So it's almost impossible to read all the numbers from this picture. And usually you don't care, you don't test your interfaces for color blindness, but you should. And there is some tools for that. For example, this Chrome extension that allows you to apply different filters of different kind of color blindness. Just simple things. Color contrast, yeah? You won't use some black text on black background and things like that. And it makes it easier to read if you follow the color contrast values. And you have tooling inside your browser, in Firefox, in Chrome, where you can check if the text is enough of contrast. Another problem from different side, low contrast on sun. So when you're using some application on sun, it's hard to read if it's not contrast enough. And you actually can target it. For example, using still not standardized property MS high contrast. And it allows you to apply your special styles for high contrast mode. From the other side, when you're using something during the night, if it has some light seam, it will blind you at night. In dark environment, it's really hard to use such kind of things. And we can use sensors from our devices, from laptops, smartphones, and we can use ambient light sensor to follow the policy. If the lighting around the interface is not enough, we can use dark theme. If it's light and shiny, we can use light theme. How it's working? So you creating this service, you connect to the ambient lighting sensor, and it gives you a lighting value in luminance. So the values from 0 to 0.3 means like night at full moon. 20, 50, it's kind of office spaces with dark surroundings. And 300, 500 is standard lighting, like here, for example. So how it looks like? When you apply this sensor, it gives you the value. In my case, I switch in light and dark theme on value of 50. And here's how it looks like from device side. So I have a lamp, and I controlling the amount of light I given. And depending on this amount, I'm changing the themes. It's still kind of experimental, but you can use it behind the flags. Another most famous dark theme prefers color scheme, media query. So it allows you to target for users selected dark theme or light theme in their system. And it's kind of easy. Actually, Safari made a good job providing the special toggle to test your application with light and dark mode, just one button in DevTools. Another big topic, layout and size, space, and things like that. So first of all, font sizes. What font size are you using in your IDE or code editor? Default for most of them is 14 pixels, but working so many time with computers, your eyes getting older, and sometimes you increasing the font size like 16 pixels or 18 pixels. So why we want to do the same for our users? Why they should read so small text on their screens? Let me show some example. This mobile version of Stack Overflow, they're using 13 pixel font size for mobile version. And another one is a Medium, more content-oriented platform, and they're using 18. And how the big difference it's making to actually getting this content. So why not to increase it? This 13 font size is too small, not enough. Another problem, space between elements in our applications. Again, Stack Overflow, mobile version. You have this navigation with buttons, and there is no space between them. So it's really hard to use it. I actually can cry all the day after I accidentally press the wrong navigation button. And it's easy to fix. I just applied a few lines of CSS, added some spacing, add backgrounds for all elements, so they're visible and easier to use. Most important thing, like you may have temporal or non-temporal disability, and sometimes you need to use keyboard. So why not to check your application with keyboard navigation? Here we have such a simple example. Application with navigation and side menu. Let's see how it looks like. So menu, it has another navigation items, close button, things like that. What could be wrong, yeah? I'm trying to use tab keyboard, yeah, and I'm navigating, menu, home, then contacts, about, and my focus go to close button, which is actually outside of the viewport and shouldn't work like that. How we can deal with it? The first thing I try to apply usually is inert attribute on elements. It's still in proposal stage for HTML standard, but adding this attribute to the element allows you to hide it from keyboard navigation flow, like it doesn't exist at all. So if you put this inert attribute on menu items, they won't to be focusable until they will be visible. So let's try the fixed one. Again, we're navigating, we have menu, home, contacts, and we get into the body. Nothing went wrong, hopefully, and we open in our menu, but our focus goes behind it to the overlay. And this kind of a problem. It shouldn't work like that. There is a technique to manage such kind of things. It's called a focus trap. You know, it's a trap. And Angular provides us with component dev kit that has a really good module for accessibility. And things like focus traps are already implemented for you and easy to use. So if I use focus list here, it will fix a lot of my problems. So again, let's try to navigate and open the menu. And we are immediately focused on a navigation item instead close button, because I added autofocus as well, because there is no actually meaning for the user to open navigation and immediately close it, usually. So it's better to focus on some useful content, but user will have a possibility to focus on this close button later. And our focus won't go out from the navigation because it's a focus trap. It iterates through this list in a loop until we close the menu. Another example, dialogues. So we have some dialogue, we open it, and we need to focus on this dialogue after we opened it. Our focus won't go behind the overlay. It's the patterns you can use on every application. Most of our applications have navigations, dialogues, and things like that. Another technique, focused list. So I'm working on an application for task management. We have a bunch of cars for tasks, and it is possible to have like hundreds of them on one view. So if you will go through them via tab, it will take so long time to get to card you are interested in. So instead of that, you can use arrows to navigate between rows and columns, and it will make navigation flow way more faster. So focus list exactly about it. So we have a list of some cards, tiles, whatever. So I can use tab, but if I'm applying a focus list, I can use arrows. And the thing is, when you focus in entering this focus list with the tabs, then you use arrows and tap again, you exit this whole focus list to the next focusable element. And if you will come back, you will focus to the item you used before. It solves saves a lot of time for users. Why not to use it? So that's about some tips, yeah? But we need to somehow maintain, fix these accessibility issues, and automate this process if it's possible. So what we can do right now? The thing is that it's almost impossible to completely automate accessibility checks for now. So time to time, you need to use manual testing. For example, with tools like VoiceOver. In Mac, it's just quick combination of Command F5 that runs VoiceOver on browser. So you need to try yourself to go through this VoiceOver and actually hear how your website looks like for people who using navigation via keyboard, who can't see your interface. Is the all descriptions of your content is actually have any meaning? But we have, for example, another tool that could be actually automated, Lighthouse. It's built in Chrome. It has a CLI version, so it's possible to run it on CI or CD. And it has some accessibility checks, yeah? But it is possible to get the 100 score for accessibility for inaccessible websites. So it's very basic tool for accessibility. It doesn't measure the real thing. The more mature thing that I actually use on my projects is XC. It's the whole platform for accessibility reviews. It follows few standards. You can switch between them, and it has a lot of different rules to check, page level rules, elements rules, and things like that. So we can use it actually in unit testing, for example, to test the keyboard navigations, our labeling, how content described, and in end-to-end level testing, we can check the page level rules, high color contrasts, keyboard interoperability, and things like that. It's fine to describe this by words, but it's better to show how it's actually look like. So let me try to mirror my screen. Okay. Here we go. Or better not to mirror, but just move the window. Okay. So yeah. Here is a simple example. I have some drop-down, custom drop-down component. Who built some drop-downs for applications? So yeah, it's common used in different interfaces. So it has some label, it has some button to toggle the list. Actually, the list, it will be shown, hidden. I have some area attributes like list box, area labeled, area hidden, tab indexes, nothing special, just showing some options and visibility to select them. So for this component, I can set up such kind of testing, yeah, standard test, but here I'm importing an X from Xcore, and it allows me to run accessibility checks. In addition, I created some custom matcher for it to just have more nicer output of my checks and things like that. Okay, so we have standard test. I just add in my matcher, and I have to test for accessibility. So our component should be accessible on initial state when the drop-down is closed, nothing selected, and on open when we expand the list itself. So I just open in my component, the list with options, and running X checks. So we use this X run. We pass in our element. We need a HTML node reference. And as a result, we can get some error and results object. Let me show how my matcher looks like. So this X results object, it has evaluations. So if we have any violations, this list won't be empty. And for each violation, they have a lot of properties to read. Here I'm using description of the rule that was failed, the help message that says you how to fix it, and URL to link to some help page with possible solutions for this issue. Yeah. So let's try to run it. Oop. Come on. Okay. So I just run standard ng test, and it will run karma, Jasmine, and run checks that I set up with X. It's building. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. So test passed, everything fine. Let's break it. Everyone likes breaking stuff. So let's use tab index, for example, 3, and see what will be the result. Let me make it bigger. Okay, so our test is failed. So we violating the rule. So ensures that tab index attributes are not greater than 0. And here's the description of error itself and link to help page that describes this rule and possible variants to fix it. But on unit test level, I unfortunately can't check things like color contrast. For example, if I will make background and font color black, so it will be unreadable. It doesn't care because it doesn't have all. Oh, it does. Last time I checked Karma, it won't load all the styles. So yeah, we have another violation. So the high color contrast is wrong, and we need to fix it. So it's actually possible to maintain it. But with end-to-end testing, you can check way more rules like a title on your page and meta tags and things like that. Okay. All this code is with demos available on GitHub. You can check it later. Links are here. I will post the slides later. And just try it on your projects or just look at this code. It's very easy to set up and maintain accessibility in your app. So let me kind of sum up what I said about, because accessibility is not about people with disabilities. It's about equal user experience for all kind groups of users you have. So there is no apologize to not to test your applications with color class. There is no apologize to not to check keyboard navigation. There is no apologize to not to test your applications for accessibility. So don't get your users lost in the space and make web better with accessibility. Thank you very much for listening. That's all I have.